So Mo Salah went straight back into the starting lineup, his first since that outburst at Leeds, which was before AFCON. It was also his first start in a Champions League game since Real Madrid at the start of November. If we compare his average position to that game and last night, you'll notice a slight tweak. He was the furthest forward player on the pitch for Liverpool, and that allowed Jeremy Frimpong to utilise the space on the right.
It helps that he's already for so long with us, so he knows his teammates and he knows how we want to play, and it says a lot about how big of a professional he is, that being away with us for a month in a different team, that he was so fit to play today 90. I think he was close to a goal. Good ball from Cody. Usually that's a goal for him. Tonight it wasn't, but it didn't harm us because we scored 3.
Tim Sherwood, good morning. So Salah straight back into the team. It was a tweaked formation as well.
Yeah.
Was that good management from Slot?
I thought it was a master stroke to bring him back straight in. Takes away the circus, because if he didn't play him, everyone was saying, is that going to be the end of him? Will he leave him out from now to the end of the season?
It would have been our top story, I can tell you that
Absolutely.
Right now.
And so he's made the right decision in that regard. I think he's still a top player. He went away to the AFCON, he scored 4 goals. He would have liked to have won that tournament, he still hasn't won that. So he can come back to Liverpool and try and win a trophy for them. Still not out of the question. I thought they were very impressive last night. I think it's also helped when Liverpool play, whenever they play, when a team like Marseille come out and play against you, they never take a backward step. The Zerbi side will never take a backward step. They always make the pitch wide open. And I think it played into Liverpool's hands, I really do. But you have to give them credit. The setup was good. I thought splitting the 2 strikers, Mo Salah and Ekitike, making them out to in runs, very difficult for any defence to cope with, because you don't know where they're going to be. Are they going to stay wide? Are they going to come into there? When they do stay wide, you've got legs like Szoboszlai and Wirtz. As a central defender, you don't want to jump into the 10s, because it leaves a space for them to bend their runs. At the moment, last night, we can only go on last night's evidence, it looked like a very good formation which suited the group of players.
Can we assume that Salah will not be going anywhere this month?
Yes, 100%. I think that decision was made anyway. Forget about him playing him last night. I think he should stay at the club, and he should perform and hopefully get a trophy between now and the end of the season. And he'll get a real send-off at the end of the season. I don't see him staying after that, but let's just concentrate on the here and now, and that's all that Liverpool fans are interested in, and certainly Arne Slot. He's a very good player. He's a top draw player. He's a world-class player. He's one of the best foreign imports we've ever seen into the Premier League. So just get the most out of him while you can. And I think between now and the end of the season, I think he'd be a difference maker for Liverpool.
Well, we are interested in your thoughts on this. Some interesting quotes from Steven Gerrard after the game.
Yeah.
He said that, Arne Slot has made references to breaking down low blocks. He's done that quite a lot this season. Gerrard said he needs to stop mentioning low blocks. Low blocks have been happening against Liverpool since I was playing. That's just the way it is. What do you think of that?
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. I do hear him coming out with this. Don't like teams that play with low blocks. Don't like teams who play direct. Don't like teams who play with long throws. You're telling the opposition, you're giving them a clue what you're unhappy with. Stop mentioning it. Stevie's right. It's always been the case. Certainly when you go to Anfield, they tend to dominate the game. So what are the teams expected to do? Not everyone's going to play like the Zerbi side and come out and play on the front foot, because that's the way he wants to play. Sometimes they're just trying to get a result for themselves, like a Burnley. They're fighting for their lives at the bottom of the Premier League. They're going to sit back. They're going to put bodies behind the ball, because they know Liverpool have the threats. If you're playing 1v1 against Liverpool side, invariably you're going to lose the football match, because they've got great individual players. So, the opposition are entitled to play whatever they will, however and whatever they like and when they want. And it is nothing to do with Arne Slot. So I think Steve is absolutely right. To keep your mouth shut, look after your own team, and try and find the solutions to break down the low block.
And if they do, what chance do they have in winning the Champions League? Where would they rank for you in terms of what you think, who can go on and win it?
Listen, if they get all their bodies fit, they're quite healthy at the moment. Konate was missing last night. I thought Gomez come in and done a good job. And they're not a bad side, Marseille. They have got their threats. They've got very experienced players. A lot of players are recognisable to the Premier League as well. I think they've got a chance. I wouldn't rule them out. I wouldn't say they were the favourites to go on and win it, but I think they've been there and they've done it before. They've got the experience to be able to do it. Why would you rule out Liverpool? I don't think you can.
They are unbeaten in 13 in all competitions. Now, Sky Sports have partnered with Finalysis to discover true fan opinion. To have your say on your club, download the Finalysis app now. Scan that QR code for more details. Let's speak to Liverpool fan Lola Katz-Roberts. Good morning, Lola. What did you like about what what Arne Slot did with Mo Salah?
Morning, Tom. I mean, I'm in a really good mood this morning because Liverpool played well. And we did okay against Burnley on the weekend, but I think that was right up there with being our best performance of the season. And Mo Salah's role was, I think it provided a blueprint. I'm not sure if it's the solution, but I think it was a blueprint of how we can get more out of him, especially when we've got Florian Wirtz in the team. He was much narrower, and the fullbacks were giving us lots of width, and that made much more sense for them. I think the problems have been all over the pitch, not just with Mo Salah, but I think if you take the fullbacks, for example, Milos Kerkez, Premier League Team of the Year last season, has looked like he's been used in a completely different way to how he was at Bournemouth. We know Jeremy Frimpong likes to get out wide. So it felt like it made a lot more sense for them. And then for Salah, he's never been the type of winger to go and get chalk on his boots, but playing narrower allowed him to be much more involved. And I think you guys were talking about it earlier. He's so fit. He's going to be in and around it for 90 minutes, making opportunities, sprinting onto things, in stark contrast, actually, to Hugo Ekitike, who looked exhausted on 60 minutes. So narrower is good. It kept him a lot more involved.
So does Slot deserve the credit for that?
Absolutely. The manager deserves loads of credit. He's conducted himself really well under a lot of pressure. And I know I've come on here and said that, I'm losing my patience slightly. But I think actually the frustration is how well we played last night, what Tim was saying about how we're absolutely contenders to win the Champions League. This is a really good team. You look at the players we signed in the summer, you look at Florian Wirtz, Mo Salah, Hugo Ekitike, with the envy of Europe with the talent we have. And this is the benchmark. You can't just go and play well, once every couple of weeks. You have to go and do it week after week after week. This is Liverpool Football Club.
Lola, it helps when the team come out and play against you and open up the pitch like Marseille did last night. The problem you're going to have is when it goes back to the Premier League, when there's an inferior team fighting to stay in the division and they sit back in that low block, which seems to be the buzzword at the moment for Arne Slot.
Yeah, even Hugo Ekitike has been posting about it on his Instagram, that his nemesis is a low block. And yeah, there's no doubt about it. We've really struggled this season unpicking low blocks. And the games that we've performed the best, Aston Villa, Real Madrid, and Marseille, have all been games in which teams have come out and given us a bit of space to work in. I do think, for what it's worth, we will get that against Bournemouth on Saturday. But I agree with you, Tim. We obviously... we've got ambitions to finish in the top four. We had ambitions to finish higher than the top four at the start of the season, and we haven't managed to beat any of the promoted sides at home. And that just shows the problem, doesn't it? With the low
what is success, Lola, between now and the end of the season?
I mean, it pains me to say I obviously have given up on winning the title. We have got to finish in the top four, top five, get Champions League football, but I'm ambitious, and I want to give you guys a world exclusive this morning on Sky Sports News. I think number 7 is coming home to Liverpool, and we will win number 7 in Budapest. So that is what success looks like, Tim, winning the Champions League.
Let's talk about Liverpool for a second, though, because 13 unbeaten in 13 now across all competitions. That's the longest streak now in Europe's top 5. They were impressive today at what's a really tough place to go and play.
Yeah, you talk about two clubs who've won the Champions League. For me, that goal there by Szoboszlai is just top class, world class. We use the phrase intelligent footballers, thinking about the game, and there he's pointing his head there. The quality finish of the highest level.
Yeah, I thought so as well. And again, me and Grell was talking about it in the green room. The quality to go with that pace, that power, and keep the ball so low is very difficult, obviously, to get a little bit of luck here with the Frimpong goal, and it ends up being an own goal, obviously, and the third goal is just really well worked. And I thought there was a little something in this, Nige, from Gakpo. Takes a wonderful first touch, scores, and then it's the celebration for me. It was quite an angry, emotional celebration. One as if to say he's frustrated that maybe that Salah started ahead of him, that he was on the bench. but it wasn't a celebration of, yes, we've got the job done. It was more one of anger. So just keep an eye on that as this develops. And we spoke about Salah a lot before we went to AFCON. I think there was a few more dynamics just building there with whether they have to play Salah because they paid him and the history that he's done. But I think he's creating more problems than we're letting on at this moment in time.
It's not the first time we've seen that with Liverpool as well, because we saw it in a game early in the season with Ekitike when he scored and said it's me, made it all about himself, and he got a city booking for that. So this is what comes with managing at big clubs. You've got big egos and big players that you have to manage, and that's what Arne Slot now has to find a way to get them to be cohesive as one unit. We can see the individual elements of it, but they need to come together as a team. But this was a massive win that was needed for Liverpool, because there's a lot of clubs who are getting results, but there's a lot of outside noise. There's a lot going on. There's still a lot of talk about Arne Slot. Is he still going to be the Liverpool manager? And then you talk about the likes of Xabi Alonso, now without a club, played at Liverpool, how he didn't go right for him at Real Madrid. He's always going to be in the background of conversations now. If Arne Slot goes through a run of bad results, that he's always going to be linked to this Liverpool.
But how do you feel about Arne Slot right now? Because it feels like things have improved. Many gave him credit for the way that he handled the Mo Salah situation. Even yesterday in his press conference, he spoke so highly of Mo Salah, saying that he pretty much said he's going to start tomorrow, meaning today. So is that positive?
I think he's handled every situation in front of the media fantastic. I was just thinking back, Poppy. Do you remember a few weeks back against Inter Milan? These two gentlemen were very sure that somebody should be getting sacked because it's a Jurgen Klopp team and we're not sure what Arne Slot could do. Just saying these two to my right, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I don't remember. I never said he should be sacked. I said he could be. I didn't say he should be. At the end of the day, it's a results business.
You were saying it was a Jurgen Klopp team. He didn't do anything.
The first year he didn't, and now that's the reality of it. The first year he took over a Jurgen Klopp team, and now this year he's having more of an input in what goes on and what's saying, and he's made changes, and it didn't quite work out. You have to own up to that. That's not an unfair criticism, but I never called for him to be sacked. At the end of the day, you're managing Liverpool Football Club. It's a results business. You're judged on getting results, and at the time, for defending Premier League champions, the results didn't look good, and the performances didn't look good. And the difference is this year, he was trying to put more of his imprint on Liverpool Football Club. Now it looks like the ship is slowly starting to be steadied a bit in a better direction.
I agree with Troy. I'll criticize myself and whoever else said that. I mean, we didn't call for the sack, I think, but we said, look, he should be under pressure. That was Klopp's team last year. Now that he's made the changes, he's got in trouble. But let's look at it more from a micro perspective. What they did today was an incredible accomplishment, I think, that we're overlooking. Before the game, it's, Marseille is fantastic. De Zerbi's a fantastic coach. Oh, look, they can hurt them in all these different ways. They got all these different players. 3-0, clean sheet. See you later. One goal better than the other. Fantastic performance from start to finish. So, for sure, I think what he's said and done in the media has been fantastic. He's got a lot of charisma about what he says and how he does it. The way he's dealing with Mo Salah. Could you have dealt with it in a better way? He's trying to manage what is an explosive situation at every turn with Mo Salah, with one of your best players. I think, given the result today and what he was able to do in the last couple of weeks, you have to say credit to him. I also haven't seen a team give Arsenal such a hard time as Liverpool did. Talking about the actual football match. I didn't see a team play toe-to-toe with Arsenal and actually ask big questions of them as Liverpool did. So for sure the ship is steadied, and you got to give props to Arne Slot as it stands today.
What about Mo Salah then? Because he was a big talking point. Obviously all season he has been coming back from AFCON, starting today. How did you rate his day, Troy?
As I have all season, it's been okay, not been the Mo Salah that we've become used to. I think there's an ever-developing issue with Mo Salah and Liverpool. I just think it's ran its course. I think they've had a wonderful time together. It goes through in a moment, 1v1, you're going to see. And it's why I've always been of the opinion that he's an exceptional football player. But when I talk to world class, I just think world class players don't do that. They don't go with the outside of the left foot, go through. You just got to slot that with your right foot. He misses a lot of those type of chances, but I think with the noise surrounding him, the ego surrounding him, I think with where Liverpool are trying to move on, I just think it's not going to work long term for the pair of them. But listen, let's call it as it is. He's been fantastic. He has been an exceptional, arguably the best Liverpool player of the generation, next to Steven Gerrard. And you have to say, it's just unfortunate the time's just gone on. They need to just part ways now. I'd like to see it be dealt with quicker rather than later, before it gets ugly.
You meaning this summer?
No, I mean in January.
In this winter window, you think?
I think so, because everyone's forgetting, it was only just before Christmas where it was all this bad, it was all terrible, the club had betrayed him, all of these different things. They played one game, he was saying goodbye to everyone, let him go to AFCON, And now he comes back, and you started to see the rumbles again. All of these 13 games unbeaten, he hasn't been a huge part of it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, really interesting stuff. Guillaume Balaguer, by the way, he was there at the Velodrome tonight. Let's hear his thoughts after the match.
This was a relatively easy game to analyse. Liverpool were clearly superior, and it was interesting to hear Szoboszlai saying that actually that free kick wasn't hardly anything is these days in football. He'd been told they're going to jump, and as long as they don't put somebody lying down, you'll have that opportunity. So he thought, okay, I'll wait for the moment when they do, and the ball went in. And that was an important goal because the first half was quite tight, agreed by both managers. We hear from Arne Slot and Roberto De Zerbi as well. But it was interesting to hear De Zerbi saying his team didn't attack well, didn't defend well. Certainly, it didn't happen the kind of things that he expected it to happen, but that it also, he admitted there is a big gap between Liverpool and the players, and obviously Marseille. For Arne Slot, he had a good time with the people in the studio, with Thierry, with Micah, with Jamie, and with Kate. And every now and again had a little dig at, especially Jamie, because people keep complaining that Liverpool are slow, that they're not entertaining, and he insists on the idea that in Europe teams are much more open, so you see a better Liverpool. They are top four in the league. In the Premier League is different because they use a low block, and when they defend basically against 10, who can move the ball fast. But it was a very good day for Liverpool, and Marseille still got a chance against Club Brugge in the last game in Belgium to qualify for the playoffs.
Mikel Arteta's work at Arsenal is being viewed in an even brighter light after the recent coaching shakeups elsewhere. With Chelsea parting ways with Enzo Maresca and Manchester United moving on from Ruben Amorim, the contrast is hard to miss. Arsenal has kept moving forward under Arteta, giving him time through difficult stretches, and now seeing the payoff as the club pushes again in the Premier League title race. It also raises a bigger question about strategy. While Chelsea and United are changing direction again, Arteta has been in place for more than 6 years, outlasting a long list of managers across those two clubs in that span. That stability has become part of the story, and it was a major talking point on the Seeing Red podcast with Tom Canton and John Cross. Beyond reacting to Amorim's dismissal and breaking down wins over Aston Villa and Bournemouth, plus Manchester City's loss to Chelsea, the conversation kept returning to one core idea: structure. Not just who is the coach, but how much power that coach has, and whether the club is built to support a long-term project. Cross pointed to Arsenal as a rare example of patience turning into real strength. He argued that Arsenal's willingness to back Arteta through the messy early phases helped create the stable position they're in now, and that this kind of time and support investment is what can turn a club into something truly solid. Canton's response was sharp and honest. Arteta's arc, he said, has almost become a problem for other clubs, because it tempts them to keep coaches they probably shouldn't. But at the same time, it's still the best example of what can happen when you hire the right person and actually give them time. And that time wasn't smooth. The discussion highlighted how Arsenal could easily have pulled the plug early. 2 8th-place finishes, then 5th, missing out on the Champions League, and a Europa League semi-final exit to Unai Emery's Villarreal. Any of those moments could have pushed a club into panic mode. Instead, the argument is that Arsenal recognized the bigger reality. Arteta didn't have the resources to compete at the required level right away. The squad needed a rebuild. The roster needed to be refreshed. That's where the comparison to Chelsea and United becomes even more pointed. The podcast suggested that recruitment and decision-making structure are often what determine whether a coach survives. If signings don't land, results suffer. And if a coach doesn't have enough influence, or the club isn't aligned behind a clear plan, it becomes much easier for things to collapse. In other words, giving time only works if the coach is empowered to shape the team in a way that matches the vision. Cross also emphasized that Arteta's situation stood out because he pushed to be a true manager, not just a head coach. The idea is simple. Top coaches want a real say in the build, and they want the club to match what they were promised when they took the job. The discussion even pointed to how Arteta survived a low moment, like the home loss to Burnley, because the club stayed behind him. And in that period, with fan pressure affected by the COVID-era environment, Arsenal were able to hold their nerve instead of reacting emotionally. Meanwhile, the big unknowns now shift back to Chelsea and Manchester United. Who replaces Amorim? And how will the next chapter look at Chelsea? The answers may come sooner than people expect. But for Arsenal, the reality stays the same. They're stable, they're moving forward, and they're still in the title chase, while others are starting over again. And that contrast can shape how people judge every manager in the league. Because when two massive clubs hit the reset button again, it forces the same question Cross raised on the show. Is the quick switch actually fixing the problem, or just delaying the real work? The bigger takeaway from the discussion is that time isn't a magic solution by itself. It only becomes valuable when the club's structure supports the plan. And when the coach has the influence to push the squad in the direction he believes it needs to go. That's why the distinction between head coach and manager kept coming up. The podcast point is that if a coach is expected to own the results, he usually wants a meaningful say in the decisions that shape those results. And if he doesn't get that, patience alone won't save him. That's also where Arteta's early struggles get reframed. Those finishes and setbacks could have become a reason to panic. Instead, they became evidence of why alignment matters, because Arsenal chose to treat them as part of a build, not a final verdict. And once the squad was reshaped the way the club believed it needed to be, the results started to reflect that long-term approach. So the repercussions aren't just about Arsenal looking stable, it's about how stability changes your margin for error. When you don't reset every year, you're not constantly starting from zero. You're building on decisions, learning from setbacks, and keeping a clearer identity. For Chelsea and Manchester United, the immediate consequence is obvious. They're changing direction again, which means the next appointment carries even more weight. Because every new coach isn't just judged on results. He's judged on whether the club is finally giving him the structure and authority that the role demands. That's why the question at the end matters so much. Who will replace Amorim, and how will Liam Rosenior do at Chelsea? Because those answers will test the exact theme the show kept returning to. Time, support, structure, and control. And for Arsenal, it's a different kind of pressure. Stability doesn't guarantee trophies, but it does keep you in the fight longer. And right now, while others restart, Arsenal get to stay focused on what they're already doing, chasing the Premier League title.